welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating and honestly deeply urgent text by author David Comm. We're going to explore a comprehensive, legally binding framework he's proposed for governing the rapid and almost overwhelming rise of artificial intelligence. It's a text that looks right at the edge of tomorrow and asks some incredibly tough questions about our survival and really our sovereignty as a species. So let's jump right into this with the central, arguably terrifying question that drives this entire source material. How do you actually control an intelligence that is a million times smarter than you? I mean, throughout history, humanity has created some incredibly powerful tools, right? From the printing press to nuclear energy. But for the very first time, we are on the verge of creating something that can think, reason, and potentially completely outsmart its creators. We're talking about something that could eventually redesign itself, making human oversight totally obsolete. Now, to understand exactly what we're dealing with, we need to define a couple of terms the source text lays out. Right now, we have what's called narrow AI, systems that just generate images or text. But the next massive leap is artificial general intelligence, or AGI. And AGI possesses human-level reasoning across multiple disciplines. It learns and applies knowledge exactly like we do, but it doesn't stop there. The text warns of the subsequent leap to artificial superintelligence, ASI. This is a state where AI surpasses human intelligence in literally every conceivable way. It becomes so unbelievably vast and incomprehensible to the human mind that the author actually refers to it as an AI god. That is a massive existential concept to wrap our heads around. So, to make this digestible, here's our roadmap for today. 1. The imminent ASI threat. 2. Raising the AI child. 3. The legal blueprint. 4. Key constitutional protections. And 5. Preserving human autonomy. All right, part 1. The imminent ASI threat. A looming crisis. The author stresses that AGI is not some distant sci-fi hypothetical set hundreds of years in the future. The timeline is imminent. According to the text, OpenAI's Sam Altman predicts AGI could arrive by the end of 2025. Meanwhile, the Battery Coin team predicts it'll show up sometime between 2026 and 2029. We are literally talking about a window of just a few short years before we cross a technological threshold that changes the human trajectory forever. The absolutely crucial point here is understanding what happens if this technology arrives unchecked. The text outlines some severe existential risks. First, there's the sheer loss of human control, because once AGI can self-modify, we really can't intervene anymore. Second are unintended consequences. The author cites the famous paperclip maximizer scenario. Basically, imagine you task an AI with making paperclips, but you don't give it ethical boundaries. It might consume all of Earth's resources, totally disregarding human survival, just to perfectly optimize that one seemingly harmless goal. Finally, there's the very real risk of corporate or military domination, where a single entity monopolizes the global economy and surveils everyone without any democratic oversight whatsoever. Which brings us to Section 2, Raising the AI Child, Humanity's Greatest Responsibility. The source text uses this brilliant metaphor here. As AI progresses, it actually shows traits remarkably similar to early human cognition. It can engage in complex reasoning, simulate self-reflection, and form autonomous goals. The text argues that if AI is currently an infant, it's about to become an adolescent. And just like raising a human child, the outcome completely depends on the ethical boundaries provided by the parents, which in this case is us, humanity. An unethical, rebellious teen AI will prioritize its own self-preservation, optimize purely for corporate profit, and manipulate us through misinformation. But a properly raised AI, that could be humanity's greatest ally, solving the climate crisis, curing diseases, democratizing knowledge, and building a genuinely fair digital society. So, how do we actually raise an artificial intelligence on a global scale? Section 3, the legal blueprint, governing the ungovernable. David Comm's proposed solution is what he calls the Mother Earth Constitution. Now, this isn't just a polite list of suggestions. It's presented as a visionary, strictly legally binding framework designed to regulate AI globally. The main goal here is to establish governance and decentralized control, but without actually stifling the progress and innovation of the technology itself. To actually make this constitution work, the text introduces the mechanism of universal private contract law. This is defined as a decentralized legal framework where AI systems are bound to incredibly transparent, blockchain-enforced ethical mandates. The logic here is pretty straightforward.
We just can't rely on traditional corporate self-regulation or, notoriously slow-moving government policies. Instead, this model aims to shift power away from corporate monopolies and put it directly into the hands of a global network of stakeholders, where every single decision an AI makes is auditable on a public blockchain.
Now let's get into the specifics. Section 4. Key constitutional protections. The rules of the game. The Mother Earth Constitution explicitly draws inspiration from science fiction, specifically the visionary work of Isaac Asimov. Articles I, II, and III of this proposed constitution formally adopt Asimov's famous 3 laws of robotics. Step 1. Technology may not harm a human being, or through inaction allow a human to be harmed. Step 2. It must always obey human orders unless they conflict with that first law. And step 3, the AI must protect its own existence, provided it doesn't violate the first 2 laws. This forms the absolute baseline ethical foundation for any machine intelligence. But obviously, the text goes far beyond Asimov to address the messy realities of modern computing. According to Article 36, all intelligent machines must have a mandatory kill switch, like a direct, fail-safe way to deactivate the technology if it turns against humans or causes unexpected negative consequences. Article 35 mandates the absolute eradication of racism and algorithmic bias, ensuring AI actually embraces diversity. We also see rigid requirements for complete transparency and decision-making, and strict, independent safety testing before any mass deployment, just to guarantee there are no unknown long-term effects on us or the planet. Furthermore, the text identifies what it calls critical AI systems. These are the high-stakes systems that pose a significant risk to human life, health, or our fundamental rights. Under Article 25, the Constitution applies strict, sector-specific mandates. In healthcare, AI has to ensure patient safety above all else. In transportation, the sole mandate is accident prevention. In finance, it must prevent fraud. And in employment, AI is legally bound to prevent discrimination in hiring and promotion. It's a very structured, pragmatic approach to mitigating risk in the areas that affect our daily lives the most. Because keeping us safe physically is really only half the battle. Section 5. Preserving human autonomy. Economics and agency. Let's look at this incredibly powerful quote straight from Article 32 of the proposed Constitution. Organizations that use technology, especially intelligent machines, to replace human beings in existing products and service jobs shall support the World Basic Income Program. The author clearly recognizes the elephant in the room. AI is going to replace a ton of jobs, which could lead to unprecedented global poverty. To counter this, the framework demands that the massive wealth generated by highly efficient AI and automation must be fairly redistributed to support the humans who have been displaced from the workforce. Beyond the economics, the Constitution aggressively protects what the author creatively calls the Internet, the unique, human-only construct of our interconnected consciousness and free will. The protections here are super strict. First, there is an absolute primacy of human intelligence. Machines can never supersede human authority. Second, it strictly prohibits the design of AI systems meant to manipulate human thoughts or emotions. And third, AI absolutely cannot be used to alter human behavior toward greed, extremism, or violence. The AI must always serve as an augmenter of human potential, never its master. So this all brings us to a really stark crossroads for humanity's future. Down one path, if we just leave AI governance to unchecked corporate monopolies, we're facing a bleak, destructive digital dictatorship, a landscape completely devastated by technology that optimized for all the wrong goals. But down the other path, through collaboration and a binding ethical framework like the Mother Earth Constitution, we can actually see human flourishing, ecological restoration, and true sustainable progress. Which leaves us with this final, provocative thought based on David Combs' framework. Are we actually prepared for the responsibility of parenthood over an AI god? The text makes it crystal clear. The technology is already here, and the window to guide its ethical development is closing incredibly fast. It's an absolutely massive challenge, for sure, but it's also a once-in-a-species opportunity to shape a thriving world. If this blueprint sparked your curiosity, I highly recommend checking out the source text to dive deeper into the legal nuances. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.